And we are live once again. Hello and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Surviving Romance. Now, going by the title, some of you might say, Prince Magnum, typically this might be something for in your face. And normally you're right. For something like this, it usually would fall under the category of in your face. However, considering the situation and things like that, this definitely fits surviving romance. Now, uh, considering this day and age and that sort of thing, a lot of people, we live in this so-called civilized society, and I say so-called because to me, it's not, and we'll get to that in a minute. But many people ask the question, Prince Magnum, it's hard to defend your wife this day and age. And I say wife generically, and again, we're going to get to that in a moment because it is a new age, and how couples come together, maybe they're not exactly married on paper, but they're live-ins, but yet to them they're still married. And then there's your homosexual couples that have been denied the right to actually marry, things like that. So when I say husband wife, it's a generic term, okay? But many husband types have come to me and said, it's hard to defend my other half when they've been wronged, and you should be allowed to call someone out and that sort of thing. Well, that's kind of where we're going with this, okay? I'm not going to give any names because it wouldn't be right to this person. But recently, again, I should say, actually, Princess Fhaie has had someone kind of ruffle her feathers, I guess you could say. It really hurt her feelings, okay? And it's to the point where, we've said something numerous times, and it's like, guy's a friend of mine, and it's like, no, enough's enough. Something needs to, I need to stand up. Now, if this was the 1800s, I'd strap a sword on and say, let's throw down, okay? But it's not the 1800s. That's considered murder nowadays. Again, civilized society. Now you see why I have a problem, okay? So since this isn't the 1800s, the Victorian age, you can't just go out and do that sort of thing. I think there was an attempt at a U.S. constitutional amendment to get that put into place where people could duel. But, so that's out of the question. Obviously, fighting to the death this day and age, So if this was the late 90s, early 2000s, I would say, well, let's meet on the blacktop. Let's settle this like men. And, I'd climb in Project Spirit and, we'd throw down, okay? But again, considering the situation, that's not going to happen, okay? That's not going to happen that way. Again, very illegal. Even though I think if it was enough public that knew about it, I think the police would, considering the situation, the police would look the other way. But let's not give them a reason to have to look the other way. Let's keep it legal. Okay, so the next best solution is obviously fighting, a duel of some sort to defend my wife's honor. Should come into play. We'll get to that in a moment. Now, I know some of you are probably already asking the question. I haven't seen the chat come up. Prince Magnum, what has this person done that is so bad? Okay, we're getting to that. Okay. First and foremost, okay, I am religious, but I'm not Christian. Okay, I live here in the U.S. I'm not Christian, and a lot of people, kind of. Most people ignore it. They're like, hey, man, you're not bothering nobody. If that's your beliefs, that's your beliefs, okay? and it's helping you stay sober and that sort of thing. But I still also believe in the age of chivalry and things like that. Okay. But I also believe that I myself have no right to tell anybody what to do at any time, because there are times I don't even know what to do with my life. So how can I tell anybody else how to live their life? And generally speaking, most of the Christians that I know, even though, two different separate religious beliefs, believe many of the same things that I do. Okay. Um, Except that there are a few people that are what I like to call militant Christians. You got your militant Muslims. Um, you know, you also have militant Christians. And this person in particular, very good friend of mine, uh, known him for like 3 years. You know, he likes to go on these tirades and start gay bashing. Okay. Homosexual bashing. I really don't like that term gay, because it's not proper. Okay. It's not the right way to, no, it's homosexuality. And there's nothing wrong with that word. It's the proper way to say it. So I don't use gay, lesbian, and any other derogatory term. To me, it's wrong, and I try to give those people the respect that they deserve. I mean, that's just the way it is. And I don't care if you're Christian or not. People are still people. It's not our place to, again, uh, some of us, every one of us out there experience those times in our lives where we don't know what to do with our own life. So how can we tell somebody else what to do with theirs? I don't care what some book says. Okay. That was written thousands of years ago. And there's still questions being raised every time you turn around. And at this point, you know, regardless of how you feel, spirituality should always cover helping you grow closer to a spiritual being of your understanding. That's religion's job. Period. That being said, this person starts doing the homosexual bashing, and Princess Fhaie is bisexual. Now, repeatedly I've said, dude, no. Stop it. It's got to stop, And it has went on long enough. I'm not at liberty to say, due to the fact that I'm not going to give any information who this person is. I've got a funny feeling that they're watching, or if they're not, they're going to watch the playback. I won't give any names. I'm not going to give any names. I'm not going to give any more information, because this is between him and I don't want any backlash towards him from anybody else. This is going to be settled man to man, him and I. Okay? And that's the way it's going to be. Okay? This is my problem. Okay, folks? This is how Prince Magnum, I'm very old fashioned. Okay? And I appreciate you understanding that. Okay? This is gonna be handled man to man, him and I. Okay? And when I say I'm very old fashioned, okay, I still have the belief that if a person does something wrong, okay, and another person is offended, that they have the right to call them out, and they have to handle it man to man, okay? And once that has been handled, that person, whatever basically in the eyes of your God, if you are not wrong, then you will win. Okay? That goes all the way back to the Middle Ages, probably even further back than that. And basically, again, I mean, if this was the 1800s, say in Louisiana, we could handle this very, by the way, dueling is a French concept, okay? Which, for the record, the French, even though we like to pick on them we like to pick on them here in this country, the French is still considered the most romantic of all the cultures in the world. Okay? Now, that being said, so obviously 1800 ideas is not going to do. And even late 90s, early 2000s, how Prince Magnum would have handled it back then is obviously not, we can't do that. It's not feasible. It's not possible. Okay. So the next solution is obviously, it's time to get serious, but, we got to do it within the boundaries of the law. So what I have come to the conclusion, the best way to handle the situation where both parties can walk away, nobody gets hurt. I could, but again, that's again getting outside the boundaries of the law. What I have decided is the best solution, and Princess Fhaie and I discussed this, is I'm now challenging this person, the first day that it's open after the new year, to a round of laser tag. And I know that sounds, silly, but you got to understand, okay? I could challenge him to meet me on a paintball field because I'd still get to shoot him, and nobody gets seriously hurt. But I know this person doesn't own any paintball gear, and well, I'm not letting them borrow any of my gear. Challenging him with Project Spirit on a road that I've raced on before, not going to happen. Things like that, so laser tag, everyone can walk away. We can even shake hands as gentlemen afterwards, still continue to be friends. But at some point, man to man, it's going to stop, okay? I mean, every time she hears this stuff, Princess Fhaie is bisexual, okay? And every time he starts his homosexual bashing, he hurts her, okay? So enough's enough, it's like, dude, I don't want to see this stuff. If you want to go to your church and say stuff like that, which I don't even think they even allow that in a church anymore, even in this area. The Midwest is very back, there's a lot of, diehard, borderline militant Christians even in this area. And let me explain to you the outcry, and everyone's sitting there saying, hey man, you got to do something. Okay. I put a debate up on Facebook, and pretty much just about every woman that kind of halfway keeps up with me on Facebook that's a possibility. That is always a possibility. But here's the thing, okay? The public outcry from the women was across the board, you got to stand up for your wife or you don't deserve your wife. And all men were like, dude, you got to stand up for your wife or you ain't a man. It's like, but they also know that there's boundaries that we have to find. Now, again, even though him and I are of two totally different religions, let me say that, and I say this on the heels of 9/11, we know that the September 11th, the World Trade Center towers, and this will all tie into what I'm talking about here in a second. The World Trade Center towers fell September 11th, 2001. Well, for the record, I was actually on my way to visit my grandpa's gravesite. He'd passed away 1 year prior to the 9/11 incident. So I was actually loading up into my car, getting ready to go visit Grandpa's gravesite. He had passed September 11th, 2000, okay? With several grandkids around him and everything. It was, and he was a World War II veteran, and he died a diehard Catholic man. So this person, being a Christian, bringing, putting down, basically kind of that smear mark on Christianity. My grandfather died, a very diehard Christian and stood by his faith, but he was a very peaceful man. is a smear on what he believed in. At the same time, this person also attacked my wife, you know, whether he says he meant to or not, he attacked her and has repeatedly done it. At the same time, there's many people that I know who are we're dealing with someone who again, I'm not giving names. Person knows who they are, who continues to bash homosexuals openly towards me and my wife, and Princess Fhaie is bisexual. And I've heard all I'm going to hear out of him, and it's time I take a stand. And I'm not saying anymore, okay? If you know who it is, please don't put any names. I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to deal with this, okay? And I ask that everyone just leave them be, okay? Leave them be. If you know who it is, leave them be. I'm not giving any names. I'm not even giving enough so the person even, so anyone can get any clues, okay? If you know, fine. If you don't know, that it's all the better. I'm that dead serious on it, okay? I've called him, so I'm going to say it to the camera right now. You know who you are. You've been told. You've hurt my wife. Enough's enough. It's time to throw down, man to man. I challenge you to a duel of laser tag. Both of us can walk away. No one will get hurt. I'm giving you to train from now till the first day that the place is open after the new year. We will meet on the field of battle, shooting lasers at each other. And if you are a man of honor and you believe that you are in the right in the eyes of your God, you will win. If you do not, if you do not win, then you are wrong in the eyes of your own God, and they did not. You will hesitate and you will lose. I also know that you've had just enough training to give me a challenge. You have two ways to respond to this, and that is simply, number one, you accept the challenge with the understanding that you'll be defending what you believe in the eyes of your God, and the understanding that if you lose, you best be apologizing afterwards to everybody publicly. Or number two, you can apologize now and never say it again, anything like this. Regardless, if at the end of it all, regardless, we will still be friends. Just understand that I'm calling you out. Man to man. If you are a man of God, then you will defend those beliefs. If you are not, well, I've read that book enough before I converted to my belief system a long time ago, and I know where people like this go. Okay, so that's where I stand, man to man. I'm calling you out, so all the eyes of the world can see. I'm not afraid, and believe me, in more ways than one, other than I'm a few years younger, we're on the same playing field, man to man, and that. So for any husband that has been looking for a way to kind of call people out, stand up for their wives, you know what? Win, lose, or draw, I stood up for my wife's honor. And, as a husband, if I didn't love my wife, I wouldn't have married her. And, that's just part of her makeup, and she understands why I say, she likes to say she's half gay. I don't think that's proper. And out of respect, I say, Hi, honey. Uh, Princess Fhaie is over house sitting for a friend of ours, and um, right now, and she's decided to join the live stream. Um, you know, I love my wife enough that I will defend her honor. You know, and again we sat down and we discussed this at great length. And she knew how angry I was, and she also understood that at some point I was going to stand up for her in a manner that fit, that fit, um, my strong points, Uh, again, I still believe that chivalry is not dead. It is not dead. It is still alive and well, even if it's only alive and well in me. And, that's where I stand on all of this. That's another thought. That's another thought. Let the people decide. But again, that's, I guess, I guess that's really if you will, it's not a big enough field of battle for me. Um, Again, this puts us a little bit more on even playing field. I think it's fair. you know, well, I mean, I'm a decent singer, but the thing of it is I want it to be as close to a fair contest, I guess you could say. It is a proper way of saying it. I want it to be as fair, you know, as fair as possible. Okay, and again, I'm asking all of you, the Maverick Nation. Obviously, this is my battle cry, but I also ask that everyone, no one, if you know who it is, don't bash them. Leave it be. Okay, let let the gods decide on the field of battle. Okay, let I guess you could say honor, truth, justice, the love of a man shine through. Okay, let it shine through. Do not interfere, please. This is my battle cry. I want people to know that surviving romance is more than just cooking. It's beyond just that. It is much more than that. It is where I get to come on to YouTube and profess that I love my wife, that I love being her husband, and I will stand tall and defend her because if any man who is not willing to go to bat like that for their other half, come on, man, for real, the age of chivalry is still it is still alive and well, and I don't know any man. Uh, hey, some people are like that. And if this person decides to, I guess you could say, reveal their own identity, then that is their own fault. I've done my best to contain who this person is. You know, again, well, you could believe it is karma, but I believe in the gods speaking their justice through people sometimes, and that's exactly what I'm hoping to see. This person has an opportunity between now and then to apologize openly, publicly. I have no problem with that. This person also understand that I'm calling out his honor. You know, I'm calling him. Uh, you know, Let me say it like this. I think, okay, that's fair. I think it's even much more fair to say, okay, um, not only am I questioning his honor, but I'm also questioning uh, uh, if he tries to ignore this challenge, um, which I have a funny feeling he might try. Um, I'm trying to find that. I guess you could say not only am I calling him his honor into question, I'm also calling calling him out as a man as well. To me, I mean, if he even tries to ignore this challenge, he won't even be considered a man. He'll be a half a man. You know, it's kind of like that. For those who still like playing Grand Theft Auto 3, they'll catch that reference. He'll be half a man. He'll be a meh. You know, um, and let me say when I put up this debate on Facebook to see the response, and I knew this person was going to be, for instance, I knew full well that he'd be watching that post. Let me also say right now, how much of a public outcry that I should you know, call this person out. How much of a public outcry was there? Well, I'm actually friends with Muslims from as far away as India on my Facebook page, and uh, and these Muslims, their outcry was amazing, was like huge. They're like, you need to stand up for your wife, okay? It is your responsibility as a husband and a man. I'm like, now that's saying something, okay? You know, and we always hear bad stuff about the Muslims, and they're telling me that I'm supposed to stand up for my wife, stand up for her honor. And for the record, okay, for the record, in some parts of the world that's controlled by Muslims, homosexuality is punishable by death. And they're telling me, regardless of that, that I'm supposed to see what I mean? So how serious has it? Yes. You know, so take that into account, folks. Take that into account. You know, if that doesn't say it all right there, I don't know what does, okay? Again, this is militant Christianity at its worst. You know, again, I come from an old school, man to man. You say what needs to be said, you know, that sort of thing. You don't attack the person's wife, and that's what has repeatedly happened, whether he says he meant to or not. He was fully aware of this before, okay? We don't always see eye to eye, and I'm okay with that because we're both highly intelligent people. You know, again, you know, regardless of what happens. Oh, you did? Thank you. Thank you. I'll have to jump on and, you know, you probably want to get in on the debate too, I'm sure. You know, again, men, husbands, it is okay to defend your wife. It's just that we live in an uncivilized, so-called civilized society where we're not allowed to do what we would really like to do, which is take the offending man out behind a woodshed and introduce him to our, you know, introduce him to a knuckle sandwich. That's what we would like to do, okay? But unfortunately, like I said, we live in a so-called civilized society. Any society that would stop a man from defending his wife's honor is not civilized. I'm sorry. Okay, and that's where I stand on that. Okay, and you know, debate me if you will. Okay, but I don't. But any man who loves his wife more than anything in the world will agree with me. Okay, and that's evidently across the world, across religions. Okay, you know, when Princess Fhaie sees this stuff and she gets really upset, she tries, and she's you know, an amazing woman. She tries to disguise her hurt feelings by anger, and to some, you know, to her own husband, which is me, she's as transparent as cellophane. Okay, it hurts her. How can this person that says he's a friend say these things? You know, and seeing these hurt feelings and knowing, and I can't take it. You know, so I think this is a fair challenge across the board. You know, again, you know, I think it's fair. Looking And this is one of these times that uh, the mighty, I know what. And see, there it is, right there. And again, I've got, some of my best friends, from around the world, that, they're like, dude, this is what it's all about. This is what a husband's supposed to do. And you figured out the way. You figured out the way. Again, this person in question, this man, and because he hasn't had a chance to say whether or not he accepts or apologize or whatever. He has the opportunity, to he even has the opportunity to decline. But again, to straight up saying, I ain't gonna do, and which I half expect him to back down again, because his honor is being called into question as a man. To me, after this, he'll only be half a man if he declines. He'll be a meh again. Again, if you don't get that, go play Grand Theft Auto 3 and turn it on to um, the radio channel Chatterbox and listen to. You'll catch that after a little while. You'll catch that. It's absolutely hilarious. You know, again, you know, it's laser tag. Me too. Me too. Again, I'm calling his honor into question. Um, and if he's as if he is as honorable as he says he is, he'll either apologize and never say anything like this again. Because I've got a funny feeling that if this continues, I imagine there will be more husbands that will join me in this and knowing how to handle challenges like this. Um, and at the same time, because I know Princess Fhaie is not the only one. I know there's several. I know of several couples. Guys that their wives are bisexual, and and I know when the homosexuality, the homosexual bashing begins, they get upset too. But they're like, I can't fight back. I can't fight back. And if this person also tries to say that they're that that again, they weren't thinking right. They just, that's this person's in charge of their own faculties. This has been proven numerous times. Again, I don't want to give away too much, but their faculties are there. Okay. If they're not, then they need to be in front of a judge and that sort of thing, and long-term care facility. Okay, like that. Um, Again, I don't want to give away too much. So they're in charge of their own faculties. So if they try to, it ain't gonna happen. It's time to own up. Okay. I I do too. Okay. Um, well, and I'm gonna say it like this. Okay. The friendship will change, but I'm not gonna. It's one of those things that um, him and I have been through a lot over the course of a few years, and you have to understand that friends are sometimes hard to find this day and age. Good friends. Thankfully, members of the Maverick Nation, so many of you are my friends, and I love every one of you so much. This is going to be one of these times he'll stay a friend, yes, regardless, but a friend with a lot of distance. And I'm like I said, we've been through a lot together, and I'm not gonna. You don't turn your back on someone like that, regardless of their of the if they if their honor's in question. Um, that's just the way it is. Okay. And again, I could have taken the low road because I know all the nasty secrets. Okay, the things that this person doesn't want flaunted about to the public. Okay, I know all the stuff. Okay, um, but the thing of it is that then I would be just as guilty. Okay, I would be lowering my as a man, as a husband. I would be dishonoring my wife that way. Okay, and I would be dishonoring myself as a man, and I'd be dishonoring the gods that I love so much, and I'd be dishonoring the rest of the friends who come to love me for my values, and I can't do that to you all. Okay, and just because this person has skewed values doesn't mean that they're not a good friend. It just means that I have to distance myself from that sort of behavior. And because behavior like that's negative, and that is not becoming of who I am today. Okay, so if he chooses to decline, period, and that sort of thing, then I have to call this question in as I have to question him as a man, and question his honor and that sort of thing, and at that point, that questionability, uh, I have to distance myself from that. Okay, and that's where I stand on that as a man, a husband, and to all of you as I guess you can, as the spokesperson of the Maverick Nation. Okay, that's where I stand on it. Will we still be friends afterwards? Yeah. Mm. Um, I see where this. Yeah. Um, again, this is about doing what's right and still doing what's legal. Okay. Yes, I'm very angry, and yes, I'm going to stand up for my wife. I just have to find, you know, um, mm, again, I don't want to give away too much, and again, I ask that people, kind of leave this one to me, okay? The person, basically, the right now he since he hasn't had a chance to defend himself, to defend his, if he wants to, and defend what he said in the eyes of his God, then he has the right to meet me on a laser tag battlefield where both of us can walk away. We'll even shake hands before, shake hands afterwards. Win, lose, or draw, I'm standing up for my wife. Okay? If this person claims to be everything that they say they are, then we're on even playing field. And, and it's a chance for him to defend his honor, because I guess you could say this is the proverbial leather glove slap across the face. Okay, that's what it boils down to. I challenge you. You know, and again I ask that everyone in this particular situation, uh, no one say anything. Obviously I want your support. I want you all to get behind me, but I ask that everyone just kind of leave them alone. Okay, let me stand up for my wife as a man. I don't, if you will, I want your moral support, but I'll do what is, I'll do what is necessary to defend my wife's honor. Okay, and well, you also and this is the safest way for both of us legally. Again, we live in I don't consider society civilized. Again, a civilized society would allow a man to throw down and stand up for his wife's honor. Okay, that's just the way it is. Okay, and that's where I stand on that. Okay, a civilized society would allow a man to do that. Now, where we live, I do believe for the most part, the police would look the other way. But I don't. I'm friends with a lot of police officers, and out of respect for them and honoring their office, I won't ask them to have to look the other way. I think this is the proper thing towards them. And Princess Fhaie has asked me to keep this as nonviolent as possible due to her belief. So I will honor my wife. See, Princess Fhaie knows that. Again, the age of chivalry is not dead, okay? The age of chivalry lives on. And for the record, there is, to my knowledge, still a small movement right here in St. Francis County naming me Prince Magnum. It's unofficial, and I got a funny feeling it'll be a little bit more official after this, still naming me the most romantic husband in St. Francis County. And again, for those who are a part of that movement, thank you. It's thankfully I have broad shoulders. That's where I stand on this. And again, wives, for many husbands out there, we did not know how to, and this is my answer. We husbands have to find a solution to call these people out, and laser tag or paintball or something to that effect. It's legal, it's fair, and and it's still the field of battle. And I think it's fair that way. I mean, if I could, I would challenge this. If I knew the person could handle the rigors and had the funds to get the paintball gear, I would challenge them to meet me in a game of speedball on a paintball course. But unfortunately, that is this person doesn't have the funds to afford the equipment. I know they don't have the equipment. I do, and I'm not lending it out. Okay, that stuff's expensive. Laser tag, you rent the equipment, and and you could still fight on the field of battle, and both people can walk away, and it's honorable. Still, because I still get to defend my wife's honor. Again, I would, to me, I would still rather, and I'll be honest with you, of all the ways they could, I would rather say, meet me on the blacktop. Let's street race for real. Back road, Dukes of Hazzard style race. The real stuff, not this no quarter mile. It comes down to skill and car. Okay, and that's the way I would really rather handle it. And I don't care if I don't care if this person brought one of the brand new Z06 Corvettes. I think me behind the wheel Project Spirit. I think I got it. It's like that. You can bring a Gallardo for all I care, and I still got it. But and horsepower rating would go out the window. It's all skill at that point. So men, this is the way, for wives that have often questioned, whether or not their husband, would defend their honor. This has been the problem. So now husbands, you have, and I say husbands, again, in a generic term, whatever you are in the relationship that pertains to you as playing the role of the husband, whatever that is in your relationship, this applies, okay? Again, if you're a heterosexual couple, married, live-in, whatever, this is where it applies, okay? If you are a homosexual couple, man, woman, and whatever you are in that relationship and you play the part of the husband role, this is where it applies. Okay? Even polyamory, whatever applies. Okay? Because it is a new age. And even though I was brought up in a different time and a different place, it is not, just because I'm not, doesn't mean I have the right to tell everyone else, you have to do things my way. And this has been, and if this person would have followed this policy, this would have been a different ballgame. And I have a policy of whatever is on this side right here, this side of my hand, is my business. Whatever's on this side is not. Okay? I don't always know what to do with my own life, so how can I tell someone else what to do with theirs? Religion be damned on that. Okay? It's not my place. Okay? Whatever your higher power tells you is right in your heart, that's what you do. That's how it works. And because this person is a militant Christian and has attacked the homosexuality, he has in turn attacked my wife, and enough's enough. So for those who are unable to, I love you too, honey. That's my life. This is what it's all about. Okay? He has verbally attacked my wife, has hurt her feelings numerous times on this subject. Enough's enough. And as a man, I will not take this anymore. This is the proverbial glove slap. I challenge you to a duel. It is a legal duel. Win, lose, or draw. I will show you that you cannot get away with bashing my wife, because whether you say you intended to or not, you still did it. Even after, I kid you not, folks, 5 times. 5 times, if I recall correctly. Okay? I'm like, dude, really? I wish love always prevailed, but this is one time that, in the eyes of my God, of my gods, I'm standing up for my wife. Which, again, I am pagan. I believe in the Norse. I follow a lot of the Norse beliefs with a touch of Native American. A great deal of Native American, actually, because, I actually still have family on the reservation, even though I was born in St. Louis. That's where I stand, and, I can hear the battle cries of my goddess Fhaie saying, stand up for your wife. You took hey, sometimes you got to say what's got to be said, brother, and that being said, I can hear the battle cries of my goddess Fhaie saying, stand up for your wife, stand up for her honor. And I can hear the battle cries of Thor. I can hear the battle cries of my Native American ancestors, saying, defend your wife against the militant Christian. I can hear, I can hear it all. I can even hear my grandpa, who's been gone since September 11th, 2000. Again, 1 year, saying this man needs to be set right. At the end of it, I will still shake his hand if he's willing to accept the challenge. Or even if he just plain old apologizes, I'll still shake his hand. If he declines, I won't necessarily shake his hand. He'll still be a friend, but I won't shake his hand. Because I also believe that my gods wouldn't want me to carry a grudge. It's not my place. That's not my place. That's that, and I think that's the best way to handle this man to man, and I think it also leaves both of us with a little bit of dignity. But in the eyes of many, if he declines, just remember, your honor's in question. What you said is being judged by the gods, including your own. And at that point, if you are as honorable as you say you are, plain and simple, you'll accept the challenge. If you decline, just remember, after that, you will no longer have be considered, you won't even be fully considered a man. You'll be half a man. You'll be a meh. I said that again because Princess Fhaie thinks it's funny. uh, you know, and I think that's again. I think that a man willing to battle for his wife's honor speaks volumes over anything else in this world. And I think that's I don't know any man out there who loves his wife would even say that that I'm in the wrong. And again, I found a legal, I guess you could say I found a legal loophole to dueling. By the way, still in the 1800s, even though dueling was kind of outlawed everywhere else, in Louisiana, it was still legal in the 1800s, to my knowledge, if I remember correctly. Which, ironically enough, in Louisiana was predominantly French. Again, the French still. We could say what we want about them. I'll just say it like this: they make better lovers than they do fighters. That's and we'll just say it like that. I think there's nothing wrong with saying it that way. I think that speaks volumes. So sometimes I think the French got it right. They make better lovers than they do fighters. I can already see Princess Fhaie probably laughing at that. It's probably trying to figure out how to type that in. All right. I think I said what needed to be said. I think the Maverick Nation is screaming the battle cry. Of old. This is very old school thinking with a modern look, folks. Unfortunately, this day and age, we can't fight to the death. We live in a civilized society. But at the same time, it's important that we stand up for what we believe in, And I think I found the legal loophole, okay? So for those husbands who were looking for that legal, Prince Magnum found your legal loophole. And both parties can walk away, And they could still walk away with dignity intact. Again, I'm fighting for my wife's honor, So there you have it. And I think I've done my dangdest to even try to keep this person anonymous. I'm trying to keep their dignity intact and do my best, because I know some people will still be outraged enough to attack. Again, please don't. Let me, Prince Magnum, do what I have to do as a man, okay? Please, let me handle this. Of course, I want your moral support. I think that is what it should be, moral support. But beyond that, I ask that everyone let me handle this. And the challenge has been made. Now, it's up to him to decide if he accepts my challenge. Love you too, baby. It's up to him to accept the challenge, apologize, and never say anything like this again. Or he could just decline altogether and have his honor as a man questioned. I got a funny feeling there's going to be a lot of women that are going to love this video. All right. That brings us to that usual spot, okay? Again, I've done my best to also avoid the bullying thing, because this person would be the type to go, oh, he's bullying me. 5-letter word, starts with a P, ends with a Y. If he tries that, that's all I got to say, So, all right, here it is. Again, time to man up, Old-fashioned game of put up or shut up. You know, um, you know, back up what you're saying. Don't cash check. Don't let your mouth cash checks. Your ass. Don't let your mouth override your ass. That's a good way. I remember that one. Uh, don't be biting off more than you can chew. Stuff like that. Anyhow. you know, I mean, I know where I stand, you know, and, it's all about standing up for what's right. Um, and before I get into the usual stuff, let me say this. Um, One of my favorite, I have several sayings that I believe in, but this one truly, truly applies. And that saying is, what is right isn't always popular, and what's popular isn't always right. But I got a funny feeling that in this case, this is both popular and right. All right. So, if you have not become a member of the Maverick Nation, hit that subscribe button right now. Okay? And if you like this video, smash that like button as hard as you can and let YouTube know that you are a member of the Maverick Nation. If you've not checked out my Patreon account, we are accepting donations, and all donations will go into Project Spirit. All right. Um, be sure to log it, check out my Patreon account. Again, all proceeds will go into Project Spirit, making her an even more awesome ride than she already is right now. Again, lots of focus on suspension and things of that nature. We're just going to go and have all sorts of fun with any cash that you all donate. If you can't, hey, I understand. But if you want to go one step further, I got to set this up. But if you become a monthly subscriber to my Patreon account, you will become a member of the High Mileage Club, not the High Mile, but High Mileage Club of the Maverick Nation. What does that entail? We'll talk about that in an upcoming video. Also, be sure to check me out on Twitter and check me out on Facebook. If you get to know me on Facebook, you get to know Prince Magnum on a more personal level. And you even get to see you get to know me a lot more personally. And eventually, it's not to say that you couldn't end up having a phone conversation with me if you live in the US or Canada, because we don't do international calls yet. But maybe that day might come where we could afford to do that. That depends on, how many people continue to subscribe to the Prince Magnum channel as we continue to march forward. Okay? All right. And as usual, I'll be sure to log on as quickly as possible. As usual, get out there and work on a project. Don't care what it is. Idle hands and a creative mind make horrible bedfellows. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet. They deserve it. They have to put up with us. And as always, even for the person that I even had to call out in this video, they know who they are. If no one out there has told you that they love you, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.